Welcome to Collaboration Conversations. I'm your host, Regina Partain Bergman, CEO of Bridgeport Strategy. Again, I am delighted to have a wonderful co host with me today and the panelists that she has brought. So let's get started right away. First of all, let me just say thank you, Rebekah, for agreeing to be my co host today.
Thank you for having me.
It's my pleasure. So, Rebekah, for everyone out there, Rebekah Hansen is a family and business relationship coach, and I'm going to let her tell you more about that. So, Rebekah, would you please share a bit about your journey, how you got to where you are now, what you do, and why that's important to you? Who you serve?
Well, that's a loaded question. Or why? Whoa, that's a big one. Um, well, I started working in the coaching field kind of unknowingly. It wasn't really, it was at a time when coaching wasn't a common word. And I did not realize there was a name to what I was doing. It was just something I did because I saw there was a need, and actually somebody else pointed it out to me and said, "Hey, why don't you charge for that?" I was like, people wouldn't pay for that kind of thing, So I kind of got into it unwittingly. It kind of came out of a lifetime of um, loving to just talk with people and work with people and learn about people, and just to be that shoulder to lean on, that hand to hold, whatever they needed in that season to kind of get through. And that's how I came up with kind of where I am now, which I'm primarily a keynote speaker and a resilience coach, and we talk about these wonderful dynamic ladies that are powerhouse wonder women in their own right, but yet when we look in the mirror we don't always see it. And so it's about getting that part of you that you truly know is there out to where you can share it with the world and you can impact the world around you the way you want to, because we all have a dream. And I don't know how many women I've talked to over the last several years that they've pushed aside their own dreams to be a wife, be a mom, be a business owner, be a caretaker for an elderly parent, whatever the case may be. They've set their own care and their own dream aside in order to be that glue that held their family together, or the person that everybody leaned on, and they don't see their own resilience coming through that season. And so I went through a really rough season myself. I've been through many rough seasons, I'll be honest. I've been through more than I'd like to admit. But I had a really, really tough season just a few years ago that just completely knocked my whole world haywire. And when I came kind of out of that cloud of just disbelief and pain and so forth, I knew that there had to be a better way to get through something like that than the way I stumbled through. And so I started offering, a hand to those that were kind of going through those types of seasons. And that brought me right to where I am today, is serving these beautiful women that are in these difficult seasons, but yet they're shining, and they are impacting the world around them regardless. And so that's kind of where I am and my why and all that in a little.
I love it. I love it. I love the work that you're doing. There's such a need for it. As you and I had a conversation about some of those tough seasons and shared some experiences there, and there are so many others who are going through that need that helping hand, that need that shoulder. And unfortunately, most of us don't know how to help somebody in that situation. And so the fact that you're able to do that because you've been there, you've walked that, it makes you gives you the opportunity to really help others in meaningful ways. I'll put it that way. So thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. Rebekah, would you please introduce each of our panelists and have them share a bit about their journey, who they serve, and why?
Well, I invited two of my favorite dynamic Wonder Women to join us today. I met I met Sarah and Rachel separately in different parts. So I think they're just meeting for the first time today. But I met Sarah randomly through another friend, and I met Rachel through another coach. And so I had a chance and opportunity to get to know these two ladies over the last little bit. And so I decided when I got this opportunity that they were the two of my top names that I wanted to welcome to be a part of this experience with me today. So I will let them tell you a little bit more about what they each do, because they are both dynamic in their own right, and I can't wait to hear them explain to you what they do.
Awesome. Who do you want to start with?
Why don't we go ahead and start with Rachel?
Awesome.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, Rebecca. Well, my name is Rachel Jones. I am the owner and founder of Rachel Jones Communications. So a little bit about my journey, who I serve, and why. So currently I am a copywriter and copy strategist. How did I get here? I began as a sports journalist. That's how I began my career. Oh gosh, about 12 years ago. And I thought honestly that I was going to be doing that forever. I dreamed of being the next Erin Andrews, traveling the nation and reporting on NFL sidelines, for the rest of my career. But I started my career reporting at a small daily newspaper. I was like, yes, this is it. This is how I get started. But I didn't know at the time that I met my husband in that small town. We didn't get married right away, though. I got another job at a larger organization back in my hometown, where I worked for 3 years. So we dated long distance, and I worked there for 3 years in my hometown, but got laid off. Journalism, the turbulent state at the time. This was 2015. I was hired in the midst of layoffs and laid off in the midst of more layoffs. So it was just very unpredictable, very, very tough at the time to deal with. But when God closes one door, he opens more. 3 years later, we got married, and I moved back to the small town where I met him, and worked for a Catholic school doing communications for them. And a few years later, I was always drawn to entrepreneurial life and, podcasts like Amy Porterfield, Jenna Kutcher, Jasmine Star, all the people we look up to, and so I went back to school and started my own business after that, drawing on my journalism experience of telling other people's stories, and just really fell in love with writing copy that is personable and helps people stand out with their, helps them find their unique edge, and, sharing that in their messaging. So I work primarily with personal brands and other small businesses, entrepreneurs who just need that help who need that extra push in their messaging. They're ambitious. They love what they do, like I clearly do, and they want to attract more of the right fit leads into their business.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic. That leads Miss Sarah.
Yes, over to you.
Okay, thank you. Well, my background is completely different from the two ladies, as you can imagine. And I grew up in another country, in another continent. I grew up in Cambodia, and I lived through a very rough life before I came over. So when my country turned into communism, I struggled to survive. And the communists took over, they shut down the country, and I was completely separated from my family. At that time, I was 21, and I was in college, and I could not find my way home.
Mm.
So I struggled for 4 long years in the communist regime, in the killing fields that everybody know about. This is as the killing fields of Cambodia, where in 4 years' time there was about 2 million people die, and I am forever grateful that God was with me and He saved me. So not only saved me, He led me, He allowed me to get out from Cambodia and to come to this beautiful country in the world and get help from beautiful people, loving people, Christian community, and I was loved, and I feel so fortunate that this is my favorite scripture. He saved me from hell and crowned me with love and mercy. That's Psalm 103, verse 4.
Beautiful.
So that's my favorite scripture. That is for me. That scripture is definitely for me. So I learned a lot during those struggle time. I learned a lot about how to survive in a very tough situation, and learn how to rebuild my life after I lost everything. So now that a lot of people struggle through difficult time, through mental challenge, emotional challenge, and all the struggle, I realized that I can use my skill to help these people, to help rebuild their life, because my life has been rebuilt and it's beautiful from a very, very difficult, very traumatic time, and now I live a normal life. So that's where I decided to share my story. I wrote my book about 9 years ago. At that time, I did not know what I'm going to do with my book, but I have hidden my story for 35 years. After 35 years, the leaky stuff get out. So people heard my close friend know a little bit about my bike story, and they always want to learn my story. So that's how I start with my journey here in United States with uh, being an author of the book and become a speaker. Can you imagine? English is my second language, and become a speaker, a public speaker. Unbelievable. I didn't know that I can do it. And I think God knows that I can do it. With His help, I can do it. I still make some mistakes, still cannot find the right word to speak sometimes, but I inspire a lot of people. Turn people's life around, help them to refocus, rebuild their confidence, and renew their resiliency. So that's what brings me joy, that people's life get turned around from a traumatic life experience, life story. And now I really want to get involved with people more. So now I open my service as a coach as well. I'm just beginning on this journey as a coach. So I'm not saying that I have a lot of clients yet. I'm just starting to tell people that, with my coaching, you can get your result faster, better. So that's where I'm at right now.
I love it, Sarah. What a story. Thank you for sharing that. Rebecca, thank you for inviting both of these beautiful ladies to join us in this conversation today. So you know, I really love the fact that you've taken your experiences to create these businesses and to help others through them. You all are doing that, and come from a place of having experienced some things that allow you to do an even better job of understanding where others are and helping them move forward. So let's talk for a moment about, how does collaboration play a part in that for you? How have you used collaboration to, you know, like Sarah, you said you're just starting with your business. You know, how can you use collaboration to move that business forward faster? And how have any of you used collaboration to move your business forward? And feel free to just jump in, folks. So, anybody?
I see a lot of opportunity. If we are going out in the marketplace, go out to network and present yourself openly that you are looking for ways to collaborate, to work together with people, you will grow faster, because you are not going out and look for that need, the right client day in and day out. You are looking to collaborate, to build it together with other people, so we can
Right.
we can all prosper together. I think that's that is the reason why collaboration is good.
Is good.
It's good.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think if you don't go into a conversation necessarily with an agenda, if you just go into it with the goal to see how you can help someone, that has just been such a game changer for me since I started my business. And that has, I found, where I have had the most fun, is just seeing how I can help someone today. It's just, it brings a whole different viewpoint into the business. Just going into, my primary platform is my Facebook group, but going into other Facebook groups and, you know, seeing how, you know, where people might need help with their lead magnets, you know, one of my favorite places to help people, you know, and, you know, if, and also, you know, their, you know, email nurture sequences, you know, just my favorite areas to help people, you know, and just serving people. Not only does it make us feel good, but but you never know where that relationship is going to lead, you know, so that collaboration, not only does it make us feel good, but you never know where it's going to lead afterward. So I just
So
think,
true.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think
So
instead
true.
of the word
Rebecca?
I think I flip collaboration around to mean more like relationship,
Mhm.
you know, because that's
Excellent.
for me, because I'm a relationship coach. Back to where my heart is, and where, you know,
Yeah.
where I long to serve. But it's kind of funny because we're sitting here talking about collaboration. I was sitting here going, I've met with all three of you in the last month or so, one-to-one, and now I'm on here with you. I just was on something with Sarah, Rachel, and I have a plan in the work to take care of some other stuff. So it's just like, I didn't get on the calls to get all these things going. I got on these
Right.
calls to say, hey guys, you know, what's up? What, you know, how's it going? How can I, you know, how can we
There you
serve?
go.
How can we help each other? You know, or maybe I'm not your cup of tea. That's fine. You could just tell me not now, and that type of thing, and that's okay too. But I love the relationships that come out of, like Rachel was saying, when there's no agenda.
Mm-hmm.
It's just an opportunity to get to know some really fabulous people if you allow yourself to. And if you get stuck in your own head on like, oh, how can this build my business? You know, how can I leverage this? You get out of that mindset and you just see, you know, man, what can I offer this person that will help
Yeah.
catapult them somewhere else? And a
Right.
lot of times one of my issues is I don't always feel like I have something to offer people. So I'm like, how can I help you? And then in my mind, I'm thinking, oh, dear God, what are they going to ask of me? And I think that scares more people than we'll admit, because we
That's
don't
a good
feel
point.
in every season we have something to offer somebody else. So if we put ourselves
Right.
out there, making ourselves vulnerable to being used or to being asked to do something that might be uncomfortable. And I
Right.
think sometimes we shut ourselves off from the opportunity because of the fear of what they'll ask. But I think if you just, you it's easy to say, not so easy to do, but if you just kind of get past that fear and just start connecting with people just as people, as
Yes.
people who understand the business struggle, as people who understand, the struggle that you might, you never know. I mean, I've talked to so many people where, when I started the conversation, all I knew about them was they were this kind of coach or this kind of business person. And as we got to talking, I found out, they had just lost a child, or they had just lost a parent, or they were struggling with a medical diagnosis, and they were completely lost. And as a result, got an opportunity to just be that friend. And I know that's, I guess, a taboo word. You're not supposed to be friends with people in business, but I say it starts there. That's
Yeah,
my
me too. Me
it
too.
starts. If you want to be my friend, then we're not going to have fun working together.
That's
Mhm.
right. That's
Yeah.
Because
right.
I'm fun. You want to be my friend? No, just kidding. And so I
No,
think
that's
it's
so true.
a relationship. Yeah. So,
Agreed. And being genuinely interested in the success of others, right? Let's take what you said there for a moment, Rebekah. Let's take that for a little spin about people being afraid that they don't have something to offer. What are some of the things that we can offer within a collaboration? Again, we're coming at it, as Rachel said, with no agenda. We're coming at it to see how we can serve, right? What can we do to help that person, to serve that person? And so what are some of those things that we can do, that we can offer?
I personally love it when other business owners are willing to say, like maybe not this particular situation. I love this particular situation. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying where they say, let's jump on a call and see if there's something that, something we can help each other with. And it may not be anything but, sharing an event that we've got going on, or it might be dropping our name to somebody else they know, or it might be,
Exactly.
it might be something super simple like, hey, I heard about a networking group that's happening this Friday. And then you go to that networking group on Friday and you meet that one person you don't know you've been looking for.
Yeah.
And so
Absolutely.
I think it turns out to be something, me personally, it has to be something little, because if it's something big, I'll just be like, I can't help you. I can't help you.
Sarah,
Yeah.
your thoughts? Oh, or Rachel, did you start?
Either one. Yeah. No, sometimes we don't give ourselves enough credit, for the things that we can offer that really will help someone, and they're not big, necessarily in terms of effort, like Rebekah said. They could be just a recommendation, or maybe we know someone who's looking for guests on their podcast, who would be a great fit for that person niche wise, or, I keep going back to this for me, like I, all the time, it doesn't take me very long to look at someone's, emails, or something like that, or I invite them, I do that. And then I invite them into my group, where they can get more access to trainings that I've done,
Excellent.
yeah, just things like that, where it takes, 20 minutes to look at something that, that they've done. And then I invite them, into my group where they can continue on their own time, to look at more things, just things like
Right.
that. It really, it doesn't take very long, and then you go the extra step, like Rebekah said, booking a call, on their own time, and then continuing to build the relationship, checking in over time, it's not just a one and done thing.
Right. Absolutely. Sarah, your thoughts?
Yeah, yeah. Many times the relationship and the thinking about the collaboration come from the one-on-one meeting with one another. That's when you really deep dive into knowing that each other much better, and then we can help.
Yeah,
Without that one-on-one, we only know from the surface. We don't really know. We don't really know how to care for that person until we know them a little deeper. So sometimes it just make connection. You connect to one of the key person that that person is looking for. Just introduce them to someone, or introduce them to some program or something that will be helpful to them.
very good. Very good. Yes. For me, it starts with sitting down, having a visit where we sit down and we learn about each other and our businesses and really get to understand and start to develop, as you said, Rebecca, the relationship, right? Because it all comes back to relationship, doesn't it? It's
Always.
all about building a relationship. And if we're not doing that, the opportunities to truly collaborate get pretty slim if we don't have a relationship, right? We have a transaction. If we don't have a relationship, we have a transaction.
Yeah.
And that's not what we want, right? Yeah. So what have been some of the most or the most rewarding or fun or whatever level of satisfaction for you? What's been one of the most rewarding um, collaborations that you've been involved in? It just made you sing, it just made your heart sing.
I, I have one example. I met my friend, my co-host. We have a podcast together. It's a live show on Facebook. We started since March 2020, since the beginning of COVID. Well, we were introduced by a mutual friend, and my co-host and myself, we have similar background. She's a refugee from Vietnam, and I was a refugee from Cambodia. How close could it be?
Yeah.
And she escaped, her family escaped through the
Mm,
sea, through the ocean, and I escaped
wow.
through the jungle. So, and she keeps saying, when the jungle meet the ocean, you cannot stop talking. Yes, we have not stopped. We have not stopped talking since 2020. We got a very good relationship doing this project together. It's it's not bringing us any money, but it's a lot of rewarding because we know we do the right thing to help the people, to inspire people in our group. So that's my most rewarding uh,
Awesome.
collaboration.
That is so cool.
Yes, it is.
That is so cool. I don't know if it's not as big as Sarah's there. I thought that was really cool. But one of the coolest relationships that I currently have is somebody that just really has taken a liking to me. Just from day one, they took a liking to me, and it was years ago when I was really just first starting out and had no clue what I was doing, why I was doing it, where it was going, how it was going to go, none of that stuff. And we happened to get into one of those 2-minute rooms. And this person lives on the other side. I live in California. They live in Florida. And so the likelihood of us meeting in person was probably pretty unlikely. But we got thrown
Right.
into this room and we had 2 minutes to introduce ourselves and basically tell, as fast as you can, that 2
Right.
minutes, get thrown out of the room. And it was so funny because I opened my mouth and I said, I don't know, a half a dozen sentences. She said, here's what I want to say to you. And I said, what? And she said, write this down. And she gave me a series of numbers. And she said, that is my phone number. When we get done with this call, when we get done with this thing, call me.
Call me.
After it was over, I called her, and she has been one of the most instrumental people in catapulting my business into different areas, into new areas. She's encouraged me and pushed me, and she always tells me, she says it much more boldly, shall we say, than I have the nerve to say. But she pulls no punches, and if I have an excuse, she says, "What is that now?" And I said, No, it's not excuse. It's not excuse. It's just da 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 da. And she's been the person that has just kept me, my eyes focused forward, and just patted my back and pushed me forward and smacked me in the back of the head when I've needed it. And it's one of those relationships that I look back and I say, how in the world did that happen? I mean, it was a fluke, of a flip of a switch, a press of a button. And I'm one of the most instrumental people in my business life that I've ever had the privilege to know, and has become one of my closest friends. And so it's just, you just never know. And so I think that that's probably one of my favorite things about the way I do business in this season, is the relationships that come like that, and they're not all that epic, but there have been a lot of epic relationships, and that is worth more than all the money in the world. Right.
Don't we love the day and age that we work in? When someone from California and someone from Florida can meet that never would have, or someone from Texas meets someone in Uganda, and
yes,
together anywhere in the world. I love that the world is so open to us now.
Yes.
Rachel.
So along those same lines, I have welcomed into my group someone from Australia, and we've had a coffee chat recently, and it was just the coolest thing to be able to connect with someone from across the world, and she. I was just like, so what made you want to join my group? And honestly, she just said it was, the fact that you were, kind of new to business. I just started my business a little over a year ago. And the energy that you put off, the excitement. So it was just good to get that feedback from someone who is so far away, and that she was willing to hop on a coffee chat with me. So that was one example. And also the relationships that I've developed, like with Rebekah from the business coach that I work with. I hired her right away because I knew that I couldn't do this alone. So some of them have just been so amazing, like supportive, and with the advice that they've given and the support. So yes, a community of coaches, of the coaching support, definitely with them has been great. So Rebekah included.
Absolutely. You ladies make me think of this week. I've been interviewed by two different people. One was in Vienna, and the other one, I think she's from Norway, if I remember correctly. That would not have happened 5 years ago, And we have this opportunity now to collaborate with people around the globe.
Yeah.
And it's so awesome.
That was funny.
Yeah.
I was actually thinking each one of you I met through somebody I've never met in real life.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go.
It's so true. Yeah.
And that's true of most of the people in my life today, that we've never been in the same physical space. So
that's pretty crazy.
Exciting times. Crazy, but exciting times. Yeah.
Yeah, Rebekah and I, we are so far away from each other. She's in Oregon and I'm in Florida.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it doesn't stop the relationship or hinder it, right?
Right.
What advice would you give to folks who are listening to this and saying, I really am not sure what collaboration would look like for me, how I would start collaborating with others? how do I use this tool of collaboration in my life, in my business? What kind of advice would you give to people who are out there just putting their toes in the water of collaboration?
Mm-hmm.
We all start somewhere.
Yes.
We all start somewhere, so you have to just start. Like, as scary as that sounds, and it's like, I'm going to do it wrong. It's like, probably, but do it anyway.
Do it anyway.
Do it wrong, do it wrong, do it wrong, and eventually it'll be done right.
Right. So now, would you recommend they go to, say, networking events, or what would they do to first put their foot in the water there, Rebekah?
I think that's funny, because it's like, yeah, I would say absolutely, but if you'd asked me, should they do something else, I'd have said sure too, because I don't think it really matters what you do. It just matters that you do something, that you start somewhere, and that's a lot of times what stops people is they never start, and then or they start one thing and then it doesn't go the way they hope, and so they stop or they pull back, or it's scary to do, and so they, it's like, for a while there, I was going in networking groups, and I must have sounded like I was clueless, and I probably still do sometimes, but I went into like these groups, and they're like, kind of, what do you do, and that type of thing, and I'm just like, oh, it's like, but it took those moments, uncomfortable moments, and those those crazy moments to step out there and get a chance to meet people, and to have somebody say, hey, I noticed when we were talking, this is what you were talking about. And I had a lot of people in the beginning, like, why don't you try this? And why don't you try that? Of course, there's a lot of voices. So it's like, listen to one voice. That was why I was so grateful to meet my friend from Florida, because it was just like, she's my one voice.
Gotcha.
She's the one voice that when everybody else is telling me to do something, I told her the other day, I was just like, social media is driving me crazy. She said, then stop doing it.
There you go.
Stop. Said, who's in control of what you're doing? You are. You're the one in control. So if you decide you're going to go to a networking group, then you go to a networking group. If you decide you're going to make a phone call, then you make that phone call. You're the one that gets to be in control of what it is you do. And there's no right or wrong answer to that.
Yeah.
So
that's so good.
We're not limited on options.
Yeah.
And those networking groups can be either in person or online, right? I mean, there's some really great organizations for networking online and getting to meet folks. And again, it's not that throwing up on them what we do, but getting to know them, looking for an opportunity for us to get to know them better after that networking session, where we don't get a lot of time to get to know a bunch about them during that. Those online networking sessions. Rachel?
Yes, follow up, that's the, possibly underrated, people don't do that, but for sure, whether you go in person or virtually, make sure that you are tracking how you are connecting with people in some way. And I know I need to get better at this, but any little contact that you have with someone, make sure that you, whether it's in a month or 3 months or whatever your process is, you can follow up with them and just check in. How are you? Goes such a long way. Gosh, people are, want to connect person to person first,
Right.
Yeah. So just start there, and then it starts with, how, just a simple, how are you? Like I said, but yeah, you just, and stick, I would say also just, don't feel like you have to be everywhere, just find, what you're comfortable with, whether it's one place or 2 places, like what works for me is I do Facebook groups and I mix in the occasional, in-person or virtual event that's maybe not on Facebook. do what feels good to you. It's your business. It's your life. So those would be the two things: track and build the relationships. Don't let them lapse. Nobody's perfect, but keep track as best you can, and do the platforms that feel the best for you. Mix in one, maybe two. That's what I would say.
Excellent advice. A couple of comments there. So, and really good advice. Tracking those connections and then having a process to follow up, so that people don't fall through the cracks. And and many of us are not great at that. I have to raise my hand every time.
I'm guilty of that as well.
Yeah, so we all need to work on that. But yeah, and then I also like what you said, Rachel, about you don't have to be everywhere. You can't do it everywhere. Find those one or two places that work for you, that you're comfortable with, where you're meeting the kinds of people that you want to meet, and then take a genuine interest in them, right? Learn all you can about them, not from the standpoint of what am I going to get from this, but what can I give? How can I serve? And I think if we come to collaboration with the attitude of service, that it really changes the game.
Yeah. Another way to look for collaboration opportunity is to look for somebody that has a complementary service or skill. Somebody else doing something to reach the same client base, the same with me, but we have the different approach, so we complement each other. That will be a very good collaboration.
Absolutely. I 100% agree with that. I always say when I invite people to do like this show, for example, I'm looking for one of three things. I'm looking for someone who'll be a good collaborative partner, a good referral partner, or a good client, or any combination of those three. That this show has given me a way to meet people beyond my own efforts, if you will. So my co-hosts bring the guests, and they broaden my world every day, and it's just amazing the people that I get to meet here and get to serve. So awesome. You ladies are amazing. I'm not sure we have time for another round, so I think we'll move into our wrap-up round. And we're going to turn that over to Rebekah to run for us. So Rebekah, you're going to ask everyone for their final thoughts, including yourself, final thoughts on collaboration, as well as your contact information. While you're doing that, I'll put everyone's contact information into the comments. Okay, Rebekah, take it away.
Awesome. All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and let Sarah actually give us her final thoughts start with her and let her go ahead and kind of wrap up your thoughts on what collaboration means to you and kind of the conversation we talked about today, kind of put it in a little pretty package for us.
Sure. Yeah. Well, collaboration to me, it means building a relationship, doing business, doing work on a project with somebody that you collaborate with, somebody that is that has a skill or service or business or product that complement to you, so we can work on the project together and we achieve something unique together. So I remember several years ago I met some lady at the conference. We both attend the conference and we sit next to each other and we turn to each other and we introduce each other, and we never know each other before. And as soon as she know that I'm come from Cambodia, she said, "Oh, I just had been to your country, and I love what And she mentioned something about my country, and the connection start from then. And shortly after that, we collaborate to do a retreat together.
Oh, wow.
It's just like a fatal attraction. We met each other.
I love it.
So have been 9 years already, and we did two retreat together.
Wow.
So,
Fantastic.
so that's
Excellent.
that's what my thought, and I love collaboration. I'm always looking for opportunity to collaborate.
Excellent. And
That's
Sarah, will you share your contact info too? I'm sorry, Rebecca. Go ahead.
no, I was just to say that's actually how I met her. So feel free to tell us how people can connect with you.
Yes, the best way to find me is my website, saraim.com. My first name and last name, SARAIM.com. And I'm also on LinkedIn. I'm pretty active on LinkedIn. You just search for Sarah M. You will find me on LinkedIn.
All right. All right. Thank you, Sarah.
You're welcome.
All right, Rachel, you get to follow that.
I know. Yeah. So that is, I mean, wow. Yeah. Talking about collaborations and how you can start a, conversation just from being, visiting the same country that a person's from, I grew up in New Orleans, and a very popular tourist destination, so naturally when, I sometimes bring that up, people in the business community are like, oh, I'd love to go there, or every now and again, very rarely though, people are like, oh, I live in Louisiana, and so we jump on that. Like people in Louisiana, like we are like all over that. Like, let's talk, let's have a coffee chat. Oh my goodness, Louisiana people unite. So like, because we feel like there just aren't a lot of us in the entrepreneurial space, so I have had a lot of chats with people who are like either have New Orleans roots or live in Louisiana, some parts, northern Louisiana, different parts, and it's just, yeah, like talking about when Sarah mentioned that story, that instantly reminded me. And some have come to my Facebook group, some haven't, but it doesn't matter. Like, it's just like the instant connection, being from the same place. It's just so powerful, but talking about, like today's conversation, it was just so much fun. Like, it just reminded me of the power of showing up as you and being authentic, and how far that can get you in this space, because people crave, people want to be able to trust you before they can ever buy from you. So that was my biggest takeaway. And if you use your unique gifts, your unique angle when you show up online, then that will get you further than anyone who tries to, anyone who uses any other approach, basically. So I had so much fun today. Thank you so much for having me. And if you would like to connect with me, I show up mostly in my Facebook group called Nurture Your Audience, and you can connect with me there.
Awesome. She's very active in that Facebook group. I will tell you from personal experience.
Oh, wow. Thanks, Rebecca.
It goes live. She goes live.
Oh, yeah. Once a week, Thursdays.
She absolutely does. So follow her on her Facebook group. That would be awesome.
Awesome.
Well, what I heard, I was actually listening as you guys were kind of rounding up your stuff, and I loved the words that kind of came out of that, and that was common ground. So look for the common ground. The relationship building is key. Start with conversation, which I loved, and be yourself. And so I think that is collaboration really in a nutshell, is being you by finding those common points through conversation and building relationships. So I think that's collaboration right there. Like, love it. I think I'm gonna make that like my little thing.
Yeah.
It is. That's what Rachel, Sarah, and Regina said it is.
I love it.
And really quick, before I go any further, I did want to give a shout out to Kirsten Jacobson, who actually introduced me to Regina originally. And so
Yes.
make sure that you check out Kirsten and what she is doing. I love
Excellent.
what she does. She's the real deal. And so make sure you kind of look her up and check out what she's doing. I'm going to give a shout out to all three of these ladies. Find them on their respective platforms and follow them. They are impacting their world. And I am just it is my pleasure to be friends with each one of them and connected to them and to have common ground, relationship building.
Awesome.
And if you want to connect with me, like Sarah said, the easiest place to find me is also my website, which is RebekahHansenCoach.com. If you want to email me, it's Rebekah@RebekahHansenCoach.com. I make it real easy. Just remember Rebekah spelled with a K and Hansen spelled with an E. And I'm also on LinkedIn. I am not active, but I check it every day. But I was told recently by my mentor that if it was not serving me right now in this season, to just let it go for now. So I am not as active on it as I should be, but you can still find me. I will answer your messages and your connection requests and so forth. So please feel free to reach out to me there. So
Awesome. Fantastic. Ladies, this has been great. I've enjoyed every moment of it. And it's so good to meet you, Sarah and Rachel, and get to know you a bit. Rebekah, to have you co-host today and get to know you better. We've already met once. We appreciate all of our viewers for watching and hope you'll come back and see us again next time on Collaborations. Bye for now.